Nestle. You know the name. It's a brand that has become a household staple, recognized in nearly every corner of the globe. They make that chocolate you sneak from the cupboard, the one that brings a smile to your face with every bite. They make that coffee you guzzle down every morning, the one that kickstarts your day and keeps you going. They're a global giant, a brand synonymous with comfort and familiarity. From breakfast cereals to bottled water, their products are everywhere. But behind the friendly face of this corporate behemoth lies a darker side, a history marred by controversies that would make you spit out your Kitkat. These aren't just isolated incidents, they are part of a troubling pattern. This isn't about a few bad apples spoiling the bunch. It's about systemic issues that have plagued Nestle for decades, issues that continue to impact the lives of millions, particularly in the developing world. This is about systemic issues that have plagued Nestle for decades, issues that continue to impact the lives of millions, particularly in the developing world. From unfair labor practices to environmental degradation, the list is long and troubling. From the cocoa farms of West Africa to the supermarket shelves of Asia, Nestlé's reach is vast, and so are the consequences of their actions. Nestlé's practices have come under fire for exploiting vulnerable communities and prioritizing profit over ethical responsibility. Activists and concerned citizens around the world have raised their voices, demanding change. They've been accused of everything from perpetuating child labor to pushing sugary products on unsuspecting parents. These are not just minor infractions, they are serious allegations that have far-reaching implications. And while they've made promises to do better, to clean up their act, the question remains, are they doing enough? Corporate pledges and sustainability reports are one thing, but real change requires more than just words. This isn't about demonizing a corporation, it's about holding them accountable. When a company has the power and influence of Nestlé, their actions have real-world consequences that cannot be ignored. It's about holding them accountable. It's about ensuring that they live up to their promises and take meaningful steps to address the issues at hand. The world is watching, and the stakes are high. Because when a company has the power and influence of Nestlé, their actions have real-world consequences. Their decisions can affect the lives of countless individuals, from the farmers who grow their ingredients to the consumers who buy their products. It's time to peel back the label and take a hard look at the bitter truth behind the sweet brand. It's time to ask the tough questions and demand transparency and accountability. Only then can we hope for a future where companies like Nestlé truly prioritize people over profits. Let's talk chocolate, that sweet, creamy delight that melts in your mouth and brings a smile to your face. It's a treat that transcends age, culture, and geography. That delicious, mood-boosting treat we all know and love. From a child's Halloween haul to a romantic gift on Valentine's Day, chocolate is a universal symbol of joy and indulgence. But here's the thing, much of the world's chocolate starts its life in the hands of children forced into labor on cocoa farms. This dark reality is far removed from the glossy wrappers and cheerful advertisements we see. We're talking about kids, some as young as 5, working in grueling conditions, often exposed to dangerous pesticides and denied basic education. These children carry heavy loads, handle sharp tools, and work long hours under the hot sun. West Africa, specifically Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, produces over 2/3 of the world's cocoa. These regions are the heart of the cocoa industry, yet they are also the epicenter of child labor in this sector. And it's in these regions where child labor is most rampant. The lush cocoa plantations hide a grim reality where children toil away, missing out on the joys of childhood and the opportunities that education can bring. Poverty is a major driver, forcing families to send their children to work in order to survive. In many cases, these families have no other choice. The income from child labor is often essential for their survival. The cocoa industry, with its complex supply chains and lack of transparency, creates an environment ripe for exploitation. Unregulated farms and middlemen who prioritize profit over people contribute to this ongoing crisis. These children are robbed of their childhoods, their right to education, and their basic human rights. Instead of learning and playing, they are trapped in a cycle of labor and poverty. They work long hours under the scorching sun, often for little or no pay. The physical toll is immense, and the emotional and psychological impacts are equally devastating. They're exposed to hazardous tools and chemicals, putting their health and safety at risk. The use of sharp machetes and exposure to toxic pesticides can lead to serious injuries and long-term health issues. This is the hidden cost of our chocolate addiction, a bitter truth that's often overlooked. As consumers, we have the power to demand change. By supporting fair trade and ethically sourced chocolate, we can help ensure that the joy of chocolate doesn't come at the expense of a child's future. Why do these children end up working in cocoa farms? The answer is simple: poverty. Many families in West Africa live below the poverty line, struggling to afford basic necessities like food, shelter, and education. Sending their children to work, even in dangerous and exploitative conditions, becomes a matter of survival. The lack of alternative income-generating opportunities exacerbates the problem. With limited access to education and healthcare, families are often trapped in a cycle of poverty, with each generation facing the same bleak prospects. The cocoa industry, despite its profitability, has failed to address the root causes of child labor, perpetuating a system that benefits from the exploitation of vulnerable communities. The cycle of poverty is a complex issue, but one thing is clear: as long as families struggle to survive, their children will continue to be at risk of exploitation. Breaking this cycle requires a multifaceted approach, one that addresses poverty, improves access to education, and empowers communities to create sustainable livelihoods. Nestlé, being one of the world's largest chocolate manufacturers, has faced intense scrutiny for its role in the child labor crisis. The company, known for its iconic chocolate bars and other confectionery products, has been under the microscope for years. Despite its global success and massive profits, Nestlé's supply chain has been tainted by allegations of child labor, particularly in the cocoa industry. This issue has not only tarnished its reputation, but also raised serious ethical questions about the practices behind our favorite treats. They've made public commitments to tackle the issue, launching initiatives to improve traceability in their supply chains and promote sustainable farming practices. These initiatives include programs aimed at educating farmers, providing them with better tools and resources, and ensuring that they can earn a fair wage without resorting to child labor. Nestlé has also invested in technology to track the origins of their cocoa, hoping to ensure that every bean is sourced ethically. They've partnered with organizations like the Fair Labor Association and the International Cocoa Initiative to monitor working conditions and address child labor concerns. These partnerships are designed to bring transparency and accountability to the cocoa supply chain. By working with these organizations, Nestlé aims to create a system where child labor is identified and eradicated. Regular audits and inspections are conducted to ensure compliance with labor standards, and any violations are addressed promptly. But critics argue these efforts are simply not enough. They claim that while Nestlé's initiatives sound promising on paper, the reality on the ground is quite different. Activists and watchdog groups have pointed out that child labor remains rampant in many cocoa-producing regions. They argue that Nestlé's measures are often superficial and fail to address the deeper, systemic issues that perpetuate child labor. They point to the continued prevalence of child labor in Nestlé's supply chains as evidence that their initiatives are failing to create meaningful change. Despite the company's claims of progress, children are still found working in hazardous conditions, missing out on education, and being deprived of their childhoods. This ongoing issue highlights the gap between Nestlé's promises and the actual impact of their actions. They argue that Nestlé needs to go further, investing more resources in tackling the root causes of child labor, such as poverty and lack of access to education. Addressing these root causes requires a multifaceted approach. It's not just about removing children from the fields. It's about providing their families with alternative sources of income, ensuring that schools are accessible and affordable, and creating a community environment where education is valued and supported. The use of child labor is a complex issue with no easy solutions. It involves a web of economic, social, and cultural factors that are deeply entrenched in the communities where cocoa is grown. Farmers often rely on their children's labor to make ends meet, and breaking this cycle requires significant intervention and support. It's a challenge that requires collaboration between governments, NGOs, corporations, and the communities themselves. But one thing is clear: Nestlé, with its vast resources and global reach, has a moral obligation to do more to protect the children who help bring chocolate to our tables. Promises are not enough. The company must take bold and decisive action to ensure that its supply chain is free from child labor. This means not only implementing stricter monitoring and enforcement mechanisms, but also investing in long-term solutions that address the root causes of the problem. Concrete action is needed to create a truly sustainable and ethical cocoa industry. This includes supporting initiatives that empower farmers, investing in community development projects, and working towards a future where every piece of chocolate is produced without exploitation. Nestle has the power and the responsibility to lead the way in this effort, setting an example for the entire industry to follow. Only through genuine commitment and sustained effort can we hope to see a world where child labor is a thing of the past.